All right. Thank you for tuning in to the channel. I really appreciate all the support I've been getting. You guys are amazing. You guys rock. You guys are everything. All right. And don't let anybody tell you different. So, I want to talk about a few things. First, I want to talk about Sean Diddy Combs' trial. I had a sneaky suspicion of something about this case. I've been in the courtroom every day since the beginning of the case, including jury selection, so I have a pretty good pulse on what's happening. But as I sit in court, I often wonder, like, why in the world would a man want to have other men sleeping with his women, and just sit there and watch? So I often thought, I said, I think it was all about, we'll call it corn, right? We'll call it corn. I think he wanted to create corn in real life and be able to watch it in the living room. So today, as you know, I'm the courtroom correspondent for Tasha K. So she actually interviewed a guy named Rico. So go check out the video on Tasha K's show. But he explains what I had been thinking all along as I sit in court, because I'm like a detective myself, right? So the guy, Rico, I'll let him tell you the story on Tasha K's show. But he says that when he spoke with Diddy and Diddy answered the door, Diddy says, "Hey, I'm at a level to where I can bring the corn to, reality." So even though it doesn't make sense, it makes sense to me in one way. So let's get to what happened in court. Let me tell you what happened. It was rather shaking, right? Jane came off the stand today and she went and she hugged the prosecutor, Comey. Comey is the one, actually, her father. I used to follow him in regards to Donald Trump because he used to be the FBI director and he went up against Trump, and I was shocked about that. But at any rate, she also went and hugged Garagos, Tenny Garagos, who was the cross examiner for her the last 2 days. And it looked like a very awkward situation that she would get. She would actually go and hug this lady. It wasn't even like she asked for a hug. It's like she just went and gave her a hug, and you could kind of see. I mean, I don't want to put words in somebody's mouth, but I saw that she was quite uncomfortable. It looked like she was from what I could see. So that was pretty interesting. Well, let's get to a few things that came out about this case that's was funny to me, right? And I have a dry sense of humor, so you guys have to bear with me. It's what it is, right? The girl Jane said that in order for her to get into having these intercourse with the workers and get her psyche, into it, she says she went to a one of those stores where you can buy the freaky deaky stuff, and she would get matching shorts, like bloomer shorts, for Diddy and the worker. Like, yo, can you imagine that? Two grown men sitting there wearing the same little under whatever. To me, it was just so funny to me. I'm like, wow, these are the weird things that you hear in court. So what I gather from this case, it seemed like Jane was she helped the defense more than she helped the prosecutor, from what I could gather, because from her testimony, the prosecutors have been painting this whole case that Diddy's in control. Remember, he's running this enterprise. And so he's controlling everybody and everyone, everything. But then you have Jane, unlike Cassie and the other girls, she comes up and she really grabs the bull by the horn, saying, "Yeah, I did order or request for these workers to come." You know, um, I was trying to make Diddy happy. She kept saying, "My partner, I want to make my partner happy." She must have said that 100 times. I want to make my partner happy. So in doing so, she would go as far as ordering or lining up. They call it a freak fest, I think, in one occasion, um, and some other name they had for it. But three men in one night. So these are the things that are coming out in this case. But she is the one that's saying that she did it. Now, when you look at the big picture, Diddy is still paying her $10,000 a month in rent. He also is paying for her legal fees. So start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Diddy's paying for her rent as we speak. On the stand yesterday, I heard it come out of her mouth. I'm in the main courtroom listening to her. She says, not me, she says she's still in love with Diddy or she loves him, right? It's almost like she could just pick up the relationship. I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but this is what I gather just in listening to her for 4 days straight. She did about 2 days of prosecution under the direct, and then she's done 2 days of cross examination. So it's quite interesting. I think that she paints a picture that it wasn't just Diddy. With Cassie, it was hard to kind of determine was Diddy ordering these workers. I mean, it blew my mind that they were getting these workers, these men off of Craigslist, Backpage, like regular people do. You wouldn't expect a billionaire to be ordering workers. I mean, number one, probably not a good idea, or else you'll have this problem on your hand. But the fact that they're getting them from Craigslist, actually, I think it was Capricorn Clark. Don't quote me. I think she was the one that said that when she got her job with Bad Boy, she got the ad from Craigslist. Like, what? That's crazy to me. Another person testified that they found the ad in the New York Times as well. But just think about how crazy this case is. But I'm telling you, from what I saw on the interview from Tasha K's page about Rico, he confirmed what I thought that Diddy basically wanted to make corn for the we exchanging the word. He wanted to make it a reality in his personal life, and I think now this is my interpretation. What I'm putting together by being in the courtroom every day. I think he chose the women because see, Cassie started as a lover, side chick, whatever way you want to frame it. But now this girl, Jane, that came in, listening to her carefully, he told her right from the jump. So it's almost like he started to learn his lessons from Cassie and other girls. So he told her from the beginning, I have multiple women. Okay. This is an open relationship. But I think in her mind, because in her world, she's probably a big fish in a little pond and she feels like she's the prima donna or what have you. She thought she could change Diddy's mind, but she couldn't. But going back to Diddy, Diddy wants to he wants to have not too many women, but a few of them locked in to this position of basically doing the freak-offs, right? Because you can't do that with 10 people. You know somebody's going to spread the word. So he locks them in. And in her case, she testified that after her first form of intercourse with Diddy of some sort, he gave her like $10,000. And he said, just because. Like, who gives you $10,000 just because? The prosecutors, they try to frame that like, oh, that's for intercourse. You see, they're trying to prove sex trafficking because count two is sex trafficking with fraud, force, or coercion. And then number three, the third count, is sex trafficking over the state lines. So this is where the case gets scary, right? Because I cover a lot of cases. I just like watching cases in general. That's always been my passion, trying to figure things out. That's just been me. But in this case, the prosecutors are saying that they're ready to cut some of their witnesses. So in other words, it kind of for me, this is my personal evaluation. They're basically saying we have a strong case and we're ready to wrap this up. Right? Why else would you cut? Now, a lawyer might tell you something different, so you have to factor that in. But yeah, they're cutting their witnesses and they're saying, hey, we're ready to rest our case by Friday of next week. But they said we might even do it by Wednesday. And mind you, we started off with an 8-week case and it's been cut back to 6. But then the defense came out and they said, well, the prosecution haven't chosen all of the witnesses that we felt that could build this case out. So we're going to add more witnesses. So they want to take the case back out to that 8 weeks. So I think somewhere around July the 4th, we're going to see this case, or maybe before, I don't know. But somewhere in the vicinity of that date, you're going to probably see this case rest. But it's troubling for the defense, I think, when the prosecution says, "Oh, we're ready. We've done our work. You guys can take over now." I think they feel confident about it. But as far as the case go, from what I've observed being in the courtroom, just as a day-to-day person, not a lawyer or anything of that sort, but I'm pretty intelligent. Um, every day they started with the video on the very first day, and they showed the video about 7 times. And in the video, they show force. So if you look at Occam's razor, it's always the simplest way of reasoning, is probably the best way. The force, is it there or not? And if the force is there, how can you get around it? Now, in opening arguments, the prosecutors came out and they said, listen, this guy basically did it. He's a monster. He's done all these things and he's running an enterprise, and we're going to show you racketeering. Now, I brought attorneys on this channel, also a legal analyst on the channel. She's top notch. And they've been breaking down the racketeering, and he has to show a pattern of 2 crimes in the last 10 years. Now, there's a lot of debates. It depends on where you go to get your news, who's going to tell you what. You listen to attorneys, you watch TMZ, you get one idea. You watch Nancy Grace, you get another. Oh, Diddy's, he's out of here. He's cooked, right? You know, that's the idea they give you. But let me tell you, from my reference point, what I think. And not my opinion, but this is what's laid out. The defense, when they did the opening arguments, they said, listen, this is about a case of a guy who, just like in the case of corn, you know, I'm trying to exchange the word. I don't want to say it for YouTube's sake. That he is like that, where he's just borrowing the time of other people. It's like an exchange of time. It's not prostitution. Okay. So that's how they tried to frame it. They also tried to frame it. This is a case that was mischaracterized. The charges are way off because this is a case of domestic violence. But here's my concern. Domestic violence, in my interpretation, right? You can talk to your lawyer. They might tell you the better way. But it's when you're beating someone or whatever, have an altercation with somebody and you're close to your family or your mate or what have you. In this case, they show you where Diddy is beating the chef. He's beating Mia. He's beating Deontay Nash. Deontay Nash came on the stand. Little guy. He says that Diddy was beating him in the back of the head. Boom, boom, boom. One time, Diddy came to beat Cassie. So Deontay Nash and also Mia, they both came in the room, to the bedroom. Deontay Nash said he jumped on Diddy's back, and Diddy was suplexing right on the floor. Boom! And then Mia took her, threw her against the wall. Then he picks up Cassie. This is according to testimony, right? Picks her up, throw her down. It's a big wooden bed frame, and she hits her eye, and that's where she gets that gash in her eye. So how does that domestic violence, how is it going to shape up when people outside are getting beaten? That's going to be a real problem. Kid Cudi, now, there is an issue, and in the media, they don't really cover this, so I just want to tell you because I heard it in court. Kid Cudi came on, he talked about the burglary. When they called the dispatch, they said it was a burglary, but the police officer came on the stand, and he said when they put it on the police report, it was a trespass. It was not a burglary. This is what the police officer said. So here we go from burglary. So trespassing. but there was also arson involved. And I did a show the other night. I show you the exhibits, right? Of how someone used a Molotov cocktail, cut open the top canvas of his black Porsche. They dropped in the Molotov cocktail. It did not detonate according to plan, so therefore the damage wasn't as sufficient as what someone wanted. Okay, but that's still arson. And at the end of the day, when they ordered the DNA results, it came back to a woman. But still, Kid Cudi painted the picture of this, and this is what you have to be careful. He said prior to this, he had no issues in his life until he started messing around with Cassie. Once him and Diddy made some sort of amends, he said he never had any problems after that. And also, when they asked Kid Cudi on the stand, like, what made you think Diddy was the person behind it? Why did you give Diddy's name as a potential suspect? And he blurbed out when they typically ask him a yes or no question. He said, yeah, because everybody knew Diddy was violent. So he's adding that extra verbiage. You see what I'm saying? So, how do you deal with this issue? They're also they tried to prove coercion by the fact they say, and they not only just Jane, but also Cassie. They said that he gave her a 10-year contract, 10 albums. She only did one album. And then shortly he romanced her, locked her into a relationship, and then she's doing freak offs every week with strange men. Deontay Nash came on and said that for her 29th birthday for Cassie, that Diddy made her do a freak off, and he testified that she said she did not want to sleep with these strange men. Okay, the very first day of the case, we have a ex-worker that actually comes into court. His name is David Phillips, and he works for the Cowboys and Angels, like weird stuff. And these guys, they go around dancing for ladies or whatever. Maybe they dance for men too. But anyway, he was hired for $200. He testified, and he went to the house. Cassie answers the door, and basically, she's so beautiful, he would have did it for free. So he got excited. Basically, this is what he's saying. My interpretation is adding to it, but just to give it a little flavor. But anyway, he says he goes in the house. He expects to see women that he's going to be dancing for. And it's like dark and candles. It's like the Twilight Zone. So you hear that, that old show, The Twilight Zone. So anyway, um, he gets into the room and then somehow he sees Diddy. Diddy ends up in the corner doing his thing to himself or what have you. But he explains they're giving him 3 to 4,000 to not just dance, but to do the do. And we're not talking about Mountain Dew. We're talking about do, right? Now, the Punisher, you see him on CNN, and I don't understand why they let him go on CNN when the case is still going. I know he's already testified, but to me, that's strange to me. He should be under this gag order, but maybe the law is different, okay? But you can hear him actually on CNN because I checked him out too, but I heard him on the stand. He says sometimes he received 800, the other times he received 1,200, and then sometimes he got 2,000. And this is where he gets Diddy. This is where Diddy gets hung up at for this guy. One time, the ex is so good, and Diddy is liking the vibe. Diddy takes the money, whatever that amount is, let's say 1,200, and he slams it on the bed and said, "Oh, this shit is so good." You know what I'm saying? Something like that, in the Diddy type of way. And the guy testifies that this is the only time that Diddy paid for the service. So now he's locked in for paying for a sex act. Like, how do you get around that? How do you get around it? You're paying for sex, right? Now, I'm not saying the attorneys can't beat this case or what have you, but I'm telling you, the prosecution, if you look at it in the most simplest form, how can you get around that? Also, Diddy had 5 houses, like mansions. I mean, the guy's the top of the line. You got to, it is what it is. So sometimes when a sex worker, let's say, wasn't available in LA, or in certain cases, they like a particular sex worker. So then they're saying, fly the guy from New York into LA. And this guy, Jules, he was the one present during you saw the video on CNN where she's getting beat, right? Jules is allegedly in that room. Now, they did show, they discussed it. They didn't really show it in a breakdown. I surmise that they will, that his flight they have Diddy's American Express card. They have the hotel records. They know every alias that Diddy has used for the room. I mean, they prove all this stuff. And then this, lo and behold, they say they have Jules on the metadata for the hotel lobby camera. And if that's not enough, they have Cassie texting Jules. And then they have the whole money exchange. So the guy flew from New York to LA. He's getting paid. How do you get around that? Obviously, you need to be really well. Actually, the attorneys, it depends on who you talk to. They give you a different explanation, but these are the issues with this case. They also show, dig this. They said that when Diddy beat Chef Jourdain, right? I guess he beat the chef because she didn't make the eggs. Maybe the eggs weren't fluffy enough, right? They weren't fluffy. So he beat her. Then he calls David James, who came into the courtroom. And believe it or not, he was crying like a baby. I'm not making fun of the guy, but it was observation. He was in there crying. I couldn't determine why he was crying but anyway, he was crying. He testified, and this is obstruction of justice, people. He said Diddy told him to go file a police report. Go down there to the police station, file a report, say that the chef beat me. And then he found out through one of the security guards, right, that Diddy was lying. So he said he went on the road and he drove around and he never filed a report. Well, the good old 6 Dream Team prosecutors, you know what they're doing with that? They're trying to frame it as obstruction because you're trying to lie your way through to the authorities or what have you. So there's a lot of things that are being told. If that's not good enough for you, okay, so let's say there's a wise guy in the room and he says, "Hey, Mel, you don't know what you're talking about. This is all fluffy potatoes, right?" Eddie Garcia, he's the security guard the day that Cassie is beaten in the Intercontinental Hotel out west, right? He comes into work at 2 o'clock. Now I know all these details because I'm sitting in court, guys. I'm just spitting it out of my head. I don't have any notes in front of me. And I got up at 3 o'clock today. I'm just getting home because I covered Diddy's case. Then I covered the riots or the protests down city. And I'm commuting. And I'm going to get to you guys in the comments. So stick with me. All right. But Eddie Garcia, big Spanish looking fella, he says that when he came to work, he got a call. He heard about the confrontation, the beating of the girl, because there is a guy named Israel Flores who responds. He actually comes out of the elevator on the extended video, and you can see he's interacting with Diddy. He's smiling in the video, which is weird to me. This guy, before we get to Eddie, let me deal with Israel Flores so you can get the context, right? Israel says that he took a picture, he took a video of the original video. So they had a little room where they kept all of the videos, right? He went and filmed the video. And you know why he did that? So he could take it home and show it to his wife. Like, what is that about, right? So that's the reason why CNN was able to get that video, allegedly, because this guy, he documented it. Well, what happened to the original video? Well, that's where Eddie Garcia comes in. Eddie says he gets a call, and it's a lady on the phone. Her name is Christina Coram, also known as KK, and she's like, "Hey, my boss got into this altercation. He was drunk, and he doesn't know. He don't remember what happened, right? Okay, so Eddie, he's a righteous man. He says, "Oh no, you got to talk to my manager. I'm not going to help you out, right? I'm not going to do it." Okay. Christina shows up in the lobby and she's like, "Well, we need you to do this. My boss is really even gets Diddy on the phone. Diddy's like, we really need to see this video, what have you." And then it gets into this whole zone about we need this video to go away. And he's like, "Listen, you have to talk to my manager." The guy is so sharp. He has integrity initially. He even sends an email to his manager, boss, what have you. And the boss says, "Hey, okay, tell him we'll do it for 50 grand. So we'll make the video go away for 50 grand." So then Eddie says he contacted, because somehow they got his cell phone number. So that's good to know too, that's how powerful money is, that they were able to reach this guy named Eddie on his cell. But at any rate, just focus on the part that the manager says they're going to do it for 50,000. So what happens next that makes this even more interesting is that, lo and behold, Diddy, when they agreed to do it, he says, "I want your driver's license of all three of you guys." And so they knew that guy, Israel Flores, he wouldn't go for it. So they said, "We'll get Henry Elias to do it. He'll fall for it." And I'm speaking loosely, allegedly, but this is what came out in court. I'm adding my own twist to it just a little bit, but the facts are solid. Okay. So they gave over the three driver's license because I guess Diddy wanted that so that if something went crazy, he knew who to contact and who to come after, right? So when you give a guy your driver's license and you go wrong, he has your address and all your information. It'll make you think twice about being a snitch, right? Okay, so Diddy set it up where Eddie would first they had the manager go and clear out all the video, any trace of this event, and then they put the original video, I guess, on a hard drive. And when he had it in hand, he told Eddie, "Okay, tell Diddy that everything is done." So the guy explains that he goes to meet Diddy at a hotel. He puts his car in valet. He goes to the room, and Diddy asks him, "What kind of tea you like? Or what do you want to drink?" And he was like, "Nah, nothing in particular." Diddy said, "Oh, get him that tea that I like." I don't know why I'm telling you that part, but they told us. So maybe you want to hear about some tea today. But anyway, that's not an important point. The guy explains that he gives Diddy the information. Diddy gives him a nickname. Diddy calls him Eddie My Angel. Eddie My Angel. Diddy's very he has a lot of catchy things. He's a very smart guy from what I could see. So he's witty with that. So he gives him that name. He says Diddy gives him 100,000. So they asked for 50, and Diddy doubled up on him with 100,000. Diddy brought out a money machine that counted out $100,000, and he said he gave 50,000 to the manager. He kept 30, and he gave 20,000 to this little guy named Henry Elias, who just basically filled in. And I guarantee you the feds came after all of them, I would imagine, allegedly. I don't know the details. They don't fill in all the gaps in court, but he came in and he asked for immunity. And so when he asked for immunity, I knew where it was going to go, and that there was a missing, I was like, well, this is where that video went, you see. So, but this is not the only thing that went missing. In the case of Kid Cudi, and I have about another 5 minutes and I have to be out of here. In the case of Kid Cudi, they took the fingerprints from the crime scene. They fingerprinted the car, the bottle, and they had two fingerprints off the bottle of the Molotov cocktail. Remember, it didn't detonate, so it was intact. Um, the fingerprint cards went missing, and the police are the ones that had control of that. So it was insinuated in court, or they painted the picture like Diddy paid off someone to get rid of the cards, the fingerprint cards. And that's when Diddy's team asked for a mistrial because they felt like, that was a very bad deal for them. But, the judge made a very good point. The prosecutor asked three questions, but the defense didn't stand up until either the second or third. And the judge says, you didn't stand up and object when they went there in the first place, the first time. And so basically they hurt their own case by not just being quick with it in that particular moment. So far on record, they've asked for two mistrials. The second mistrial, and I'm going to end with that. I'm going to hit the comments real quick to see what you guys are saying. But I'll tell you this last mistrial. There's a girl named Bonna. She was a friend of Cassie. Cassie often spoke about her. She was like she's where the whole story about Ray J being a drug pusher, drug dealer, they didn't pin it down to the Ray J that we know as a celebrity. Obviously, they didn't bring up his picture as an exhibit, but it was insinuated that a guy named Ray J was a drug supplier, right? But Bonna talks about on September the 26th, 2016, early in the morning, Diddy came to the house, and he had her hanging off the balcony. Yeah, hanging off the balcony. And so she talks about that whole situation. And, we go through all different phases. The defense showed that she told the story in so many different ways. Basically, they painted her as a liar. It's just so confusing. She says one time Diddy brought her, threw her over the balcony, and then she came back over. He put her back over, and then she changed the story again. And then she said that Diddy took her and threw her off into the patio furniture, and she showed the bruises. And the meta tags, when you take a picture, you get meta tags. The meta tags show that the picture was taken on the 26th. Okay, so we all go to lunch, we come back, and then all of a sudden, and let me tell you, you won't find a better attorney than Nicole Westmoreland. She's a little African-American attorney representing Diddy, and she is spectacular. I mean, her brain is on 100,000. Her questions, her line of reasoning is very sharp. Whether you like Diddy or not, that's not the question. We're talking about the attorney and the ability of the person. And another sharp one is Brian Steele. Very, very sharp. But anyway, the attorney shows that Diddy was actually in New York staying at the Trump Plaza at that same date of September 26, 2016. And so that's when Diddy went crazy in the court. And he started nodding his head and so forth. And he was interacting with the jury. And the judge was like, hey, Mr. Attorney, you got to get your client or he's going to be out of here. No interfering with my jury. And that goes for you guys in the audience too. So there should be no interaction with the jury because people try to paint the picture. You're trying to sway them and so forth. So at any rate, so that's what triggered the second attempt for a mistrial. Now, I will say this in conclusion. The Southern District of New York has a 95% conviction rate. Now, I think a lot of that is when you're trying to fight your case, a lot of people take a plea deal because they figure they can't beat the government. Not only that, the average attorney, what they want, $350 an hour? Like, who can pay that, right? Not the average Joe. So that might affect that 95%. But when you're a billionaire or you have a lot of money, maybe that'll put you in that 5%. But I will tell you this, from my observation, they have an issue in getting 12 jurors to agree. I think they're going to run into some problems, and I'll leave it at that. But from my observation, yeah, Diddy is he's a very persuasive guy. We'll leave it at that. And so I'm very interested in seeing how this thing go. A mistrial is probably would be my first guess from being in the courtroom every day. That's what I'm probably leaning toward. A total free and clear. The government's laid it down. I mean, they're laying it down heavy. So we'll see what happens. I don't really have a dog in the fight, but I'm just trying to bring the information to you guys solid. I was going to get into the whole Trump thing. So I'm covering the riot or the protest down in the city, and man, they're going crazy. They're expecting it to. One of the officers told me today he wouldn't be surprised if it goes and they start setting things on fire and stuff like that. So they're prepared. That's why in my video, if you go back to my live when I left court today, I put out the video to show you all the background. You see the sniper on the roof with the gun? Yeah, you play around, you play weird games, you're going to get some weird prizes. So it's dangerous being down there. So before it got dark, I was out, but I gave you guys some good footage. But I did see a lot of Trump supporters were in the comments section. I couldn't ascertain at that time what was really going on, but thank you to all the people that were answering questions and responding to that. I will be covering it because it's there. So if you want to see it, you could tune in. So ICE is definitely now they have a big impact in New York City more than ever. And it has these people shaking. I see right up from the courthouse, you have the ICE office. And today I saw a lady that lost her mate, and she was out there crying. So these are some scary times, and people are being affected drastically about life. You know, typically when people are not going through a situation, they don't really tend to care. But you know, sometimes it pays to have empathy for other people. But also, it's also good to mind your business too. So you have to be balanced. So let's see who's in the audience, and I'm just going to go through a few comments, and I'll be out. Hello to you. This is Ryan Williams. Okay, what was the most significant testimony from the witness today? I also read online that Kanye West tried to enter the courtroom. Could you confirm if that was true? I did not see Kanye West. I looked online. I didn't even see in the video. Usually, everybody going in and out of the courthouse, they get filmed. So I did not see the footage. So I tend to think that, you know, maybe it is true, but I don't know. Okay. That must be some sort of spam. We got some spammers in here. Gotcha. It's a joke. You're going to go viral. Oh, yeah. So, anyway, that's a spammer in the comments. Okay. Bordox, thanks for rolling through all the time, man. He says, hey, Mel, looking good. Thank you. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say man. So, Bordox, thank you very much for that. All right. I appreciate her a lot. She's always in the comments. I just looked at your picture for the first time. Sometimes by the name it's hard to decipher. So Bordox for now, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Murray McSingleton. Hey Mel. Hello to you. All right. You have a good memory from your days witnessing. Yeah, I do. Yep, I could go on and on about this case. Guys, I'm on Law and Crime, so check me out. I'm on Dayline NBC. I really need to put out all the links, but as you can see, I'm really pushing myself here, so I'll have to do it another day. Nux who know says wearing a suit with a good damn Yankees hat on. What the F you're doing? I'm living my life. That's what I'm doing. And my grandfather used to say, I am who I am, and I don't give a damn. You know, I'm just saying. Anyway, Gillo says, this hat comes in handy when we're out there in the rain waiting in line to get into the courthouse. So, Yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep it. Gillo says this Diddy trial is a joke, terrible evidence. It's a domestic violence case, and it all sounds like. I would have to say I don't believe that's the total case here because people are getting beat out of the scope of family or close associates. So anyway, we'll have to see what happens. Gillo says, can't believe the feds are trying this case. Okay. Glenn Valina says, Diddy gonna walk? Okay. Sharice Brewster, hi to you. Thank you. Thank you for liking. Please like, share, and subscribe if you feel the need. Buster02, sup Snoop. Sharice says, oh wow. D Hood Riller. That was to Glenn. So Cherie says 100. She agrees. D Hood says Diddy can have the smartest lawyers in the world. The facts still stand that he is a predator, and I think the defense is just taking Diddy money because they know he's about to do life. Woo! Man, that's strong. D Hood says the prosecution is so confident they know they will be done by Wednesday and all the prosecutors' witnesses next week. Okay, Cherie says she agrees. Cindy, Trump is sending out paid agitators. Oh, okay. I haven't been following it, so thank you for the input. But I kind of feel like there's a lot going on here. I mean, these people are coming out ready to go to war, and now they're clashing. So that's where it gets scary. Sharice said, "Yes, I am from New York, and I agree everything you're saying." Thank you, Sharice. Lock in with me. I appreciate having you on. I like to keep seeing your name in the comments, and you guys can always send me an email if you want to as well. P Tang says, "Do you think the jury believes Jane Doe?" Based on the bigger picture, she did not come across in the end. She came across as a paid actor, no actress, no. But anyway, let me not say that. Cut. No, but she came across like she's actually taking the. She has immunity, and she's saying she's the one committing the crime, not Diddy. So you guys are smart. Do your own math. Nuclear Thunder, your grandfather, and guys, this is just my opinion. Allegedly, whatever. It's not anything to write a book about. I'm just a regular guy observing what I observe in the courtroom. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. I'm just doing my own little dance here and trying to stay out of people's way. Okay, Afrolicious. Okay, wow, what a name. Great summary. Thank you. Thank you to you. Thank you for being here, and please come back. I like to see you on a regular. Jake Peters, Israel 850, Iran plus 600. Who you taking? Okay. I'm not sure what that means. You can give us a summary and we'll understand. Okay. Cindy Prim says Diddy is cooked. Okay. Ryan says, hey, Mel, did you cover the R. Kelly news that you mentioned yesterday? I might have missed it. No, I have to put that out in the morning. So today I was going to come and cover that. But then I saw that protest and it was too good for me to pass up. I said, let me bring some awareness to that because I thought it was only in LA, but now it's right in the backyard of the courthouse. So we have all sorts of things going on. Rob Welch, thank you. Hi to you, Rob. D Hood Reeler, shout out to you. Mel, you cool as F. I respect your opinions. Thank you. I appreciate it, folks. But this is it. That's all I have in the tank today. Usually I don't do videos on my own channel. Earlier today I was on two channels. I was on Myron Gaines as a court, um, just the person that brings information from the court. So I'll continue to go on his channel. I have quite a few requests for bigger stations now. So as we go into the next week, I really have to step up my game because you'll see me on the big screen, and I want to be ready. Also, I have a panel that I'll be on live in living color in New Jersey coming up in June. So I'll put the invitation out there if you guys want to come, but it'll be a live panel before a studio recorded audience. So I really have to be on top of my game for that too. Sarah, God bless you. Hey, shout out to you, Sarah. Stay with me. I'll continue to just bring you. I wasn't too opinionated, right? All right. So maybe I should give less of my thoughts about it. But I don't think I gave you guys too much of my opinion. I was trying to stick to the facts, but I'll fine tune that if need be. All right, so that's it, guys. Please hit the like on your way out. Share and subscribe if you feel the need to. And tomorrow morning, bright and early at around 5:45, I'll go live in New York City. We'll walk down from Grand Central, catch the train down to Brooklyn Bridge stop. I do that every day. And then tomorrow evening, I'll be doing a show with others at 8 p.m. And then on Saturday, I have a nice treat for you. I have Blanca Cobb coming on, a body language expert. She's been in the courtroom with me. So I think we're going to do it at 4 o'clock on Saturday, Eastern Standard Time. And so you'll get to hear about all the movements of Cassie, Diddy, and so forth. It's going to be a treat. And also, I have Candace Kelly coming on. She's a legal analyst. She's going to be breaking down some points on Sunday at 2 o'clock. I'll have a defense attorney. This weekend, we're going to do a special show on how Diddy could be defended. So for those of you who want to see Diddy locked up or what have you, just bear with us. We're giving people a different viewpoint from a criminal attorney down in Texas that's a heavy hitter. He's actually representing a big celebrity rapper right now that's on for murder. So I'll be covering that case, and I'm going to be covering another case that Law and Crime gave me. So when I throw these cases out there, please catch it and stick with me. We're going to keep at this, all right? So thanks for tuning in. Dr. Victor Frankenstein. Okay, Diddy got $1 billion. He's going to walk. Watch. I touched on that. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but quite possible. Dixon Nas says, "What's up, brother? Me and my cousin Taylor have been watching you for a minute and appreciate the content, and we watch you when we can. Can you shout him out? It's his birthday. His name is Nick Gurr. Shout out to Nick Gurr. And let me, oh my God, I fell for that one. All right, so that's a good one there. All right, D Hood, that's a really good one. That must be a troll of the century. I fell right into that one. D Hood Rilla says, non-Victor. I'm gonna have to cut that as a reel. Non-Victor. No, he's not a millionaire now. Okay, all right. And D Hood Rilla says, and the Fed's going to take the rest of Diddy money. Yeah, the financial part of this is going to be scary for him. The legal analyst broke down what happens in the case of a RICO and how the money could be on the line. But I think I did read where he has some specialist that's going to try to help him retain the money if this case went south. Robert says, "Go Yanks." Dr. Victor, Diddy got $1 billion. Feds ain't taking nothing. Okay, blessed be our founding fathers. It's Judge Mathis. Okay, so the trolls are in the building. The trolls are here. We need the trolls, though. We do need you guys, so you guys can stick around, too. As long as you don't harass the people in the audience, I can deal with you myself. All right, guys, have a good night. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys for being here tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here watching the world with me. Thank you, and have a good night.